like there's one in every workplace, that person who takes a sick day when they're perfectly healthy. But that kind of fib can have serious consequences, and a new court ruling upholds a company's decision to fire an employee who called in sick and then headed for the local ballpark. Our business host, Scott Peterson, is here with more. I'm reading this, of course, after being sick for 2 days.
Well, I don't think
I was out, man. I was whipped.
And you didn't show up at a public place, right?
I didn't show up at a ballpark. But anyway, the company in question would be TELUS. How did this case get to court?
Well, this is an introduction in how to call in sick. So if you're going to call in sick, and not to make any implications here, because you took 10 days in a row, and you'd have to be pretty brave to do that. But if you're going to skip work, don't call in first and try to take the day off before you call in sick. And if you do call in sick, don't show up at a public place where potentially other employees and your boss might be. And this is exactly what happened to TELUS employee Jared Underwood after being told that he couldn't take the day off from work. So let's follow this timeline here and see this absolutely worst case scenario that wound up in court. Jared asked for the July 3rd, 2011 off to play softball. He was denied, saying that there were no other technicians available on that day. So after being told that he couldn't have the day off, he calls in sick that morning, July 3rd. Stomach troubles was the official explanation. The manager was suspicious, having been tipped off since he knew where Jared was possibly going to be. He goes to the ballpark. He catches Mr. Underwood red-handed pitching at a softball tournament, so you can guess the rest. He was called in the next day, July 4. He was fired. At this point, the union got involved. They appealed this, and then the court upheld TELUS's decision to say go ahead, because if the employee was well enough to pitch at a baseball game, he was well enough to go into work. So at this point, if you're going to call in sick, another rule, don't get caught.
No kidding. Now, you used to be a manager on Bay Street before you took on the incredibly glamorous television life.
Yes, I did.
What is your strangest sick day story?
I had a bunch, because I managed an equity desk full of crusty characters, and one guy called
kind of like our newsroom.
A little bit like that out there.
Crusty characters.
I wouldn't say that at all. But he calls in sick. He says he brushed his teeth too vigorously and then ate some yogurt, and his gums were therefore inflamed. True story. He wasn't able to come into work that day. So anyways, but I thought, and I asked everybody at Twitter feed for their best stories, whether you're calling in sick or you get a sick call. And thanks very much, CBC Peterson, and keep them coming because I really enjoyed them. Thanks so much. This one here is from Dwayne. The best excuse for an employee not coming to work was, I burnt my hands while deep frying a turkey in Louisiana. I'm not sure where he was calling it sick, but here's another one from Gail. It says, same thing happened to Fred Flintstone, called in sick at the quarry, then caught on the Jumbotron at a ball game.
Oh,
you remember that one?
Yeah.
Fred and Barney, and then Mr. Slate was just down the aisle, so they couldn't get out of that one. But thanks for everyone for tweeting back on that.
Can you imagine? You're like this on the Jumbotron. No!
Oh, no.
Anyway, financial markets, are they hiding from anything today?
They are, a little bit. Well, we had record days yesterday for the Dow, the S&P in particular, but at this point, there's a little bit of a breath as to where we're going to go now. So a little bit of trepidation we can see here. TSX down 3 points, the Dow down 22 points, NASDAQ up 6 points. We have the Canadian dollar had been topsy-turvy. It is now down 6 basis points. Oil slightly the upside, gold slightly the downside. So it's one of those sideways moves after a big party and record highs yesterday.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.